Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina Margot.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
And gentlemen, however you like to identify yourself, welcome once again to the Transfer Zone with Vic Akers Wonderland. This is the last of the summer transfer window, and that also means it's the last of the summer transfer zone. So, as we are all here, Adam, how are you?
I'm very tired. I was up late last night because I was, told there might be some last-minute drama in the transfer window, and I couldn't last the course. I had to bail, but I've been very tired all day, sort of ever since. So just glad it's the weekend now. I can sort of sleep and dream of seeing our summer signings play against Liverpool at the end of the month.
And as always, we've got the lovely, fantastic Lottie. How are you?
Oh, absolutely bloody brilliant.
I'm not surprised you're bouncing off the walls.
Oh no, do you know what? Unfortunately, I'm obviously back to work this week, and I had 2 days back to back, and I was just like, yeah, no, I'm not staying up tonight. I'm going to sleep. Woke up about 7:10 this morning. Went to the first thing on my phone from Forza Football. My face. I just went. I had that, when you're not quite awake and you have to just rub your eyes to make sure you're actually dreaming. I kind of got up, looked at my phone again, and went. I had to creep out of bed and jump around the room because my other half was sleeping. I didn't want to wake him up. I had my bit of my celebration this morning. I've had a very good Friday.
So we'll go on to the non-transfer news just to get it all out of the way. We didn't cover it last time. The reason for it is we just ran out of time. Mana Uebushi officially retired from the game, and obviously she spent her last couple of seasons with Arsenal. Didn't work out quite as well as she was hoping. Some injuries were picked up, used incorrectly, as some might say. I've got some very fond memories of Mana, especially against that rocket that she scored against PSV. Especially even that first game that I actually went to at Villa Park, where she scored that lovely flick goal, and the way that she just tore Villa apart was just fantastic. It was great to see, and I thought we've got a player here that can be a game changer, and unfortunately just didn't really happen. Adam, your thoughts on Mana?
It's been said time and time and time again. She was the right player at the wrong time. It was a player that the predecessor Joe Montemurro wanted, and he'd been chasing her for ages, and there was many reasons why they weren't able to get her to the club. And by the time she had come to the club, the manager had changed instead of the playing style, and it just didn't really line up with Mana. Still saw flashes. I say flash the quality. I think back to the lovely nutmeg and then curler against Spurs in the FA Cup at Meadow Park. Just individual moments of just genius like that. The finish against Villa, like you said, and that short corner routine in the Champions League. The name escapes. It wasn't PSV. It was the other team. The name escapes me. Just a really talented player, and just a positive player as well. She always played with a smile on her face, even though she wasn't playing enough. It was always she emitted positivity, and just sadly it didn't work for Arsenal. Jonas plays a very different style, and she didn't really match. No doubting there was talent there, but now she's out of the game for good now. Obviously spent her last sort of months at Spurs, which is tantamount to basically being in the exit door. And it's sort of one of the great sort of, I'm going to say tragedies, but it's been so much sort of building of positivity under Jonas Eideveld, especially within the Conti Cup last season and going very close in his first season to the league. But this is sort of on the flip side of that. It's just one of the players we've had I would just put Nikita Paris in that sort of bracket as a talented player we signed in that window. Just didn't work. Just didn't work. And wish her all the best. As you say, there's injuries. I think there's some surgery she had. Just couldn't stay fit. Couldn't get in the team. And yeah, just wish her all the best for her life outside of football. Talented footballer. I'm sure she'll make a good career, whatever comes next.
So just quickly move on to the loan watch now. Crystal Palace took on Durham. Araya Dennis was on the bench for this one. She was subbed on at half time. Palace were 3-0 up for those that weren't watching at this moment in time. Araya Dennis got an assist for Hughes at 5-0 and a cross in for I completely haven't put down the goal scorer's goal, but it was a very long name, so I do apologise. A B Harp I've just put, so I think that's B Harpish. I can't remember the name for the life of me, so I do apologise. That was for 7-0. Then Watford versus Charlton. Katie Reid and Leia Harberts started. No Michelle Agaman. We have been told now that she has actually got an injury. It's going to be closely watched on. Lottie, your face right there does not scream very happy about that. But both Katie and Leia played the 90 minutes, which is great to see. Lottie, I'll just bring you in because you look so unhappy about Michelle not being injured.
Yeah, I want to see her in the cup ties. I want her to have her first North London derby goal. It's annoying. It's all right. I know we play them 3 times next season now, but it's irritating, especially after what we saw at Leeds last season, up at Meadow Park. So it's just like, oh, it's so annoying.
So we've got some England news as well with the under-19s. Katie Reid, Araya Dennis, Madison Earl and Freya Godfrey all being picked. However, there has been some confusion over the positioning as Araya is down as a defender and Freya Godfrey as a forward. However, a lot of the forwards are actually picked as wingers, so wingers, forwards. It's very bizarre. But just your thoughts on that, Adam?
Sorry, on the
our
England
youngsters,
team.
our youngsters being picked.
Well, wish them all the best. Obviously, big learning experience. I don't really follow the youth section of the women's team, sadly. But as far as I heard, yeah, plenty of youngsters picked, and take with it, run with it. Hopefully, get some experience. Hopefully, don't get like an Adrian Ketty and just don't get played at all. Just left on the bench and not done anything, and then come home. Hopefully, they actually get a kick about and get a goal. But this is big moments for them. International football, especially if they're not getting minutes with the main team. This is the moment for them. So best of luck and come back uninjured, which would be ideal.
I think that's the message to the entire of the squad. We've got England versus the Netherlands. We've got England versus Scotland as well in the Nations League for the Olympic qualifiers. Lottie looks very impressed by that, but also at the same time not very impressed because I'm pretty sure we all want to see.
We've all spoke about the scheduling before, and it's so damn unfair. This sort of time period, it should be for pre-season. No team is getting any form of pre-season unless you're not on international duty, and that is a disadvantage to us. We've got more, I think, a full team out basically. If you look across our team, including our new signings, we've basically got a full team plus a few more. Include the academy girls, that's even more. The scheduling is just awful. Especially after a World Cup down under.
For me, they got these the wrong way around. I think it should have been the international break should have been what's just happened, and then the European qualifiers that we suffered should have then been afterwards, and then they could have just built through into the season rather than this on-off weird sort of arrangement. But nevertheless, it is the last international break. Can't wait to go to the Netherlands and see the Lionesses versus the Dutch Lionesses. Again, as I was saying, just like with the youth team I was talking about earlier, please come back uninjured, everyone. I mean, I'm kind of torn here. It's like when I watch Saka on international duty. Like I want to see the likes of Lottie and Russo play for the country and do really well. But also, I'd be more than happy if I didn't play at all, and that way that nothing bad would happen to them. It's going to be interesting because Kira Walsh is obviously injured. She's not going to be in the squad. We know how crucial she is in the midfield for England. So, who's going to step up to play in the midfield?
I know the answer to that.
Yeah, I think we all do, and I can see Matt is grimacing at the thought. So it'll be interesting. Well, yeah, this will be interesting to see how she does. Good old Katie Zellen. But there are other options. I think is it Laura Coombs as well who can sort of play in the midfield role. Maybe Jordan Nobbs. Maybe Jordan Nobbs will finally get a chance.
Jordan hasn't actually been picked. It's Lucy Stanford this time around.
Well, it might be Lucy Sandhoff then that gets a crack in the midfield. Then my apologies. So, yeah, it will be. This is one of the big things of Serena that she is very much as a starting 11. But there's more than 11 players. You need to know what the rest of your players can do. But these aren't friendlies. This is actually Nations League, and it's actually critical for not only it's qualification, I think for the Olympics as well. It plays into, which makes things very messy when apparently we're in the same group as Scotland. There's some weird permutations going around involving that. It's very bizarre. So yeah, another tournament, more competitive games, more unnecessary fixtures on the girls' legs, sadly. So yeah, best of luck to them, and just please come back fit and healthy for the start of the new season.
And with that, we'll head back towards Arsenal now, as Vinay has announced that he's going to step down at the end of the season. He's been a real member of the board that has come out and sat down at Meadow Park. He's been there at the Emirates. He's been very much a mainstay as part of the women's setup, and I think he's been one of the other members of the board that have hoped to sort of increase that wage budget and transfer budget so that Arsenal have been able to push for these elite players that we've seen in the last 3 seasons now. Do wish him all the best. Look, Lottie, we did see him just outside at the Conti Cup. He would walk straight past us. And I nearly turned around and said to Vinay, thank you for everything at that time, because it's things like that where he's got this presence and everything. So thank you, Vinay, for everything, especially from the women's side, because it meant so much. It's a lot. You've probably done more than you know. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the time at the club, and whatever your next venture may be, I wish you all the best with it.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Top man, sort of really came into his own when his partner, shall we say, was removed from the management arrangements at the Emirates. And yeah, my thought was, I've never really, it's the best way to phrase this, obviously I don't really pay much attention to other clubs and their sort of media broadcasts and outlets and what their messages are, but I've not known another CEO to sort of be very public in the support of the women's team. I would say in the WSL, obviously I know that the Lyon president's obviously very supportive of them, but his sort of desire, it's not just, we want a women's team, is no, we want them to play at the Emirates. We want them to play there full time. We don't just want to be in the WSL, we want to compete in the WSL, we want to be the best. And it's not just words, because plenty of CEOs can talk the hind legs off a four-legged animal. His actions as well, and I think you can judge him on his actions, and there's no doubt that the moment he took over the reins and ran it on his own, and he messed up, as the whole club did with the whole Super League debacle, European Super League, the lesser Super League. They all goofed up on that, but since then their track record has been very, very good. We look at the men's team, look at the growth of the men's team, look at what staying with Arteta, growing that team, putting the players in, the renovations around the stadium, the new artwork. Look at the women's team and how they have, since Joe Montemurro has left, and they've actually shown a bit of ambition in the women's team. The women's team has improved more. I've seen them at Meadow Park. It's just little things like that. Seeing like representation of the board. I mean, it's the Cronkies now, but seeing them at the caring, watching the women's team play is really good. And like I said, we saw him in the cup final going in to support the team. Really, really good. And he's a good talker, a really, I think a good man. And he served us well. And it's big shoes to fill. And it'd be interesting to see which direction they go. Do they go for something the same, or do they go for something radically different for the next step for our development for both our Arsenals?
I don't know about you boys, but I say get Arsene Wenger to dust his jacket off.
Yeah, I think it's we're very much a youthful Arsenal in terms of the management, in terms of the director, in terms of the person who was the CEO. So that does seem to be a bit left field. I think I'd also argue if you look at, let's say, a certain Manchester club who players at North who keeps their former manager in around the club. For me, that's not right, because you got to move on from that. And I think Arsenal have done well by having Wenger not part of the furniture.
Well, technically, he'll always be part of the furniture. He's at every game. He's got his statue now. You can't. There is no Arsenal without Arsene Wenger.
No,
it's just like
granted
it's
that.
a bit like saying there is no Arsenal without Vic.
Well, Vic what Akers. I mean is, they will be part of the venture of that. But in terms of, I'd rather they didn't have an influence, because that's sort of clinging on to the past, and we sort of need to be looking towards the future. Obviously, Wenger, legend of the men's team, Vic, legend of the women's game, hence the name of our podcast. But I wouldn't feel right, let's say, having maybe Vic or Wenger still trying to cling on there. You have to sort of move on, and I think they'll probably bring maybe someone fresh in. That's my prediction anyway. Or they'll
as long as it's not that lady that's taken over the that's putting this new ballot system in for the fans. Don't want her. She can go back to Royal Alaska.
Well,
but that's a whole new other subject.
That's another podcast. The ballot system.
Exactly. And we're not here about about moaning for men's football. We're still up for scrapping for tickets for our first Meadow Park game on Tuesday, I believe. So
let's go on to talking about fixtures now, and the TV fixtures have been officially mentioned and named.
Yeah.
Our opening game at the Emirates, 2nd of October, 2 p.m. UK time. FA player. That will be the first home game of the season. I think a lot of people are looking forward to that. It's going to be quite sellout.
Definitely, that was the only game guaranteed not to move. It's the only game guaranteed out of the home package for the Arsenal fans. It's the only game that's guaranteed not to be moved at this point.
So then we go away to Manchester United at the dreaded, as I fear it and detest it all I like, and somehow it was a Euros venue for whatever reason we'll never really understand.
One of the best.
Friday, that's Friday the 6th of October, 7:30 kickoff. As far as I'm aware, there are still tickets for Arsenal fans. However, you will be mixed in with Man United fans, which makes no sense, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to blame people, blame Manchester United for that one.
Just blame them in general, not just for the tickets, just in general. Just blame them.
Just blame them for everything.
Yes, we'll blame them along with Sky.
It's like one of my favourite phrases. They couldn't organise a piss up in a brewery.
Yes, absolutely. Or drinking competition at in Munich, shall we say, in one of those lovely halls that me and Matt frequented. Good times. Yeah, I mean, there was an article when we're going to come on to transfers, but there was an article by, I think it was Catherine Batten in the Mail talking about Man United and saying, there will be signings, but the reviews, shall we say, of the people doing these deals were less than flattering.
Yes,
I think I've read that article.
That Manchester United one on that 6th of October, that is on Sky Sports in the UK. I'm not sure where it's going to be if you are abroad, so please double check wherever you find your TV, WSL feeds, whatever you like. I'm sure it'll be available somehow to you. And next game, Villa at home, 2 p.m. on the 15th at the Emirates, this time on the BBC and iPlayer. So that's going to be a very good one. I think Lottie's very happy about that because she can rewatch Rachel Daly back.
So excited. Yeah, but as long as she's not scoring again, that's so good.
Again.
But you know what? Yeah, exactly. The thing is, we were just finished at that last game of the season.
We were.
Kind of walked in, I think, nah. I watched the first 10 minutes, I went, no, we're not going to win this.
No.
So Katie McCabe dragged those girls by their ponytails across that finish line. So I think even she had an off day that day as well. But really excited. I'm really excited for Liverpool as well. Obviously, Liverpool's first time at the Emirates. It's Villa's first time. I haven't seen Liverpool.
You don't know the history. So Liverpool, I'm trying to interrupt you, Lottie. I just want to clarify because it's rather funny. Liverpool have actually played at the Emirates Stadium against the Arsenal women many years ago, and they won 4-0. It was an opening game of the season as well. So they
Okay,
have
then
history.
second time.
So we got to correct that mistake, and we can do that, by battering them 4-0 this time around.
There we go. I mean, I'm going to say this before Adam corrects me. I'm assuming it's Villa's first time up at the Emirates.
Yes.
So, yeah, no, really excited for that because obviously we know we've played them at Villa Park and now it's their turn to come to our big ground. So it's, for me personally, it's all about these two teams who play at the smaller grounds as well as the massive grounds. And it's anyone's games. Whereas with Liverpool, I feel like we have a little bit of advantage. So I'm really excited for that game. I think out of the 5, it's that one just behind the North London derby. The 3-point derby.
Villa, I'm excited about because they bought well this summer. And
Yes.
they are, they're not just scraping through relegation now. They've kicked on and they've kicked on again. They've got one of the best goalkeepers in Europe in their side now. They've got one of the best strikers in Europe in their side. So very, very scary team to watch. And of course, the first two of the 3 games, the first 3 games we lost last season. So there's a real need to correct that mistake.
Especially after what we saw in the Champions League.
Absolutely. The interesting thing is the Liverpool attendance is looking strong. I think they're saying it's around 40,000 tickets sold at the moment. It's very quiet on the Villa front. There's a lot of focus on the Liverpool game at the moment, but not much on the Villa front. So it would be interesting to see how big the PR is once the Liverpool game is over, because obviously we want people.
I think the push at the moment is the first game of the season. That is the push.
Absolutely.
I'm like literally anyone I talk to who I know is Liverpool. Why don't you come watch Liverpool? I spoke to a fair few people. I can't take the kids, too expensive, and I'm like, no, these are our ticket prices. What, really? I'm definitely going to do that.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing. Because it's a family day out. I said, look, you'll be fine. There's no idiots about.
It's fascinating to me that the Liverpool game's not on TV. I know why, because they've picked some TV picks, and in fairness, the TV picks are quite big games. But it's just interesting that we've got a game at the Emirates that is not going to be on the TV, so we're going to have the FA player camera angles, which
it'll probably also be on Arsenal.com.
Well, yeah, we can hope.
I can see them doing that, and then their rubbish breakdowns. But yeah.
To wind up the month now, we are away to Bristol, 6:45, which is a Sunday game. Blame Sky Sports on this one because not a lot of people are happy. On top of that, we have been told about rail strikes are being planned, so this might affect travel arrangements for all of these games. I'm also looking at trying to go to that Liverpool game, and there's a limited window of me trying to get into the Emirates in time for that kickoff at the moment. That's how dangerous it is at the moment with these games. Even the Bristol one I'm looking at, and I was like, that would be one that I desperately want to go to. I think a lot of us were hoping to go to that game. As soon as it was picked up by Sky, there's no chance.
If I was to do it, it would have had to be like a 12 o'clock or 2 o'clock in the afternoon deal. The only way
it's just left 2 and be done with it.
Could have been an FA player game. Did it really need the Sky treatment, that one? But it is what it is.
I get why it's getting the Sky treatment, because it's their first time. It's their first. Is it their first or second home game at home?
It's one of their first home games, and I think they're all at Ashton Gate as well, so they're no longer at the Stoke Gifford Academy place. It's
they've moved
proper
over
stadium.
there. They've got the proper stadium. Playing Arsenal, who don't look so great, but that wasn't the case before.
We'll get to that later.
League.
Yeah.
But we'll find our feet before then. I'm hoping, with the 2 games at the Emirates first, and plus the fact that's our second away game of the season.
It is, and we want to get 3 points. But no, I'm gutted. I wanted to go there. Obviously, we have friends who live in the southwest who we think we would have hoped to met with. I mean, the only way you could feasibly do it, I'm not driving down the M4 at 10 o'clock at night and then having, going to work the next day. So it's either we stay over and take a day off, or watch it at home on Sky Sports. So bit of a kicker, that one, sadly.
It really is, and it is a real shame, because especially after everything that we tried to do, the FSA, the Fan Supporters Association, that's basically all the fan groups have been making a huge list of demands throughout the off season, And essentially, the broadcasters looked at that and just tossed it in the bin and gone, okay, that's fine. We'll stick to the 6:30, 6:45 kickoffs, which makes no sense to anyone.
I would say with the figures at 6:45, I should say it would make sense if the two teams were close to each other. If it was, let's say, Arsenal versus, I don't know, West Ham or something in a London derby, you could probably make it work in terms of the trips. But when you're at opposite ends of the country, it's lunacy.
The thing is that would work. It only would affect international travelling fans. If you're domestic, that would work perfectly fine. But if you're an international fan, that's not helpful.
And the thing is, there are only so many slots in a day that you can do. And the derby is historically a Sunday fixture. And when you're juggling other games that you have on, 4:30 kickoffs and so forth, so there's only so many hours you can have in a weekend, unless we start going down we already are going down Friday night routes, obviously Man United game, but we start splitting them on Mondays and Fridays and having them at 11 o'clock in the morning. There's only so much football you can squeeze in. So it's a kicker, but it is what it is.
Right, so that rounds up all the non-transfer news as we are slowly narrowing our way towards that half an hour mark. Ellen Rubinson was mentioned as a possible transfer target. Defensive midfielder from Sweden, 33 years old, from Packen. That was the rumour. It didn't come about. However, I did mention, I have to apologise, or I mentioned that the window was meant to finish on the 12th, not the 14th. I was bad communication from myself. I have to apologise for myself on behalf of the podcast because I wasn't. I misread the information. On top of that, I also went onto Sophie's channel and also said that the transfer window closed on the same time. So I've made myself a huge. So I've just got a huge red nose here, and I'm just going to honk the nose because I have become a bit of a clown for that.
I was going to say lemon, but if you want to call yourself a clown, feel free.
But anyway, I think we should let the person who's most excited about this, our new signing from Australia. I'll just give the huge rundown before Lottie has a say. Kyra Cooney to cost 1,040,000 was the bid accepted.
140,000.
Nearly 1.5 thousand. 100,000 even, whatever. I'm terrible at maths is the takeaway. I do apologise because Lottie is sort of laughing in the background. Anyway, the bid was accepted on deadline day. The Australian midfielder joins former players such as Lydia Williams, Caitlin Ford and Steph Catley, becoming the fourth Australian to be at the club. And Rich Laverty and Tim Stillman worked on this together as a collaboration to break the news together. Anton Tului on Sky also mentioned that the fee could rise up to $250,000 with add-ons. So the done deal. Where's the number 2? Kyra Cooney Cross. Lottie, I think you should take it away.
She wears the number 32. Let's
32,
get that right. I've already ordered my shirt from Foodies. They've already got the WSL print in. So, guys, if you want your Cooney Cross shirt, head over to foodies.com. And that was a shameless plug. I don't care. The thing is, if we go back to our World Cup shows, I think, Matt, at one point you asked me if I could sign anybody, who would it be? And it was straight off the bat of Kyra Cooney Cross, and the Arsenal have done it. As soon as that rumour had popped up, I was straight in the group chat like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? And then, of course, Adam had to go and verify it because it was a women's transfer page with no quote of who actually said it. And then he's like, oh, yeah, I've been hearing about this. And I'm sitting there going, oh, my God, it's happening.
Yeah.
I think the latest, the interview with her was originally from a tweet from Ian Wright. He was watching her on the 31st of July, like over down under, and he really enjoyed her. He dropped her a message, she replied, and all that kind of stuff. And obviously, Agent Ford and Agent Catley have obviously been saying all their good things about Arsenal, and she went with her gut, which is really quite exciting, especially when you hear things. Oh, like she's gone for a medical with Chelsea, Man United are sniffing around her.
Yes.
And we've just come out of nowhere and hijacked the deal. And as I said earlier, I woke up this morning and I thought I was seeing things. I had to make sure I was awake, and I was jumping around my room, so bloody happy. I'm really excited. I mean, she's 21 years old, and we all saw what she did at the World Cup, and I want her to bring that to Arsenal. And I can't bloody wait. Can you imagine what she can learn off Leah Volti and Kim Little to the talent she's already got? I mean, she's 21, and I think she's got 39 caps for Australia, and she's just unbelievable. I'm really, really, really excited about this signing. I love that. I think for me, this signing is even bigger for me than Russo. Even though we biffed off the Man United fans.
Again.
This is how much this signing means to me. It's bigger than Russo for me. I'm just excited. And everyone else who hasn't watched it very closely should be excited. In the words of Josh Kroenke, I promise you.
So I think it was on was it 14th CA yesterday? Got a whisper that there was potentially a big transfer happening at the end of the window, and waited around, and the announcement came through: Gabby George to Manchester United. Huge coup for there. Sorry, wrong pod. Yes,
That still winds me up.
I know it does.
Sorry
I know.
Yeah, but I
Gabby
didn't realise
George.
I didn't realise she was cousins with Jessie Lingard. So that's interesting.
It is.
I mean,
It is.
how does
Anyway.
someone so pretty be related to someone so ugly? But anyway,
we'll move on. That was cheap shot at Matt yet again. I do apologise, but couldn't resist.
No, it wasn't a cheap shot. I love Gabby George, and now she's going to go and end up scoring a wonder strike against Liverpool again, and I'll probably be in the ground missing it because of XYZ. But anyway, sorry, Adam, go on.
Let's just go back to you though, Matt.
I got wind of this, I think, about 10:15 yesterday, and I was a bit sort of wrong-footed because, to be brilliant, because I my limited ability to watch the World Cup because of work and time differences. I must confess I didn't really see much of her at the World Cup. So on the excitementometer, if that's a thing, it didn't really register. It was just like, oh, we're signing a player, and it's like, no, she's really good. She's really, really good. And of course, I'm now going, right, I'll go for the Twitter feed, and then it went, obviously, the room went public, and like everyone's in Arsenal meltdown. I'm going through the historical tweets, and I remember there was a certain ITK who reports on another club who was saying, yeah, she's having a medical at Manchester United for a move in January, which is like, hang on, what? For this is like months and months ago, but no, it happened. Arsenal dove straight in and actually paid the fee. Didn't wait, because she would have actually been free. She would have been free in January to go, because as we know, we experienced with like Stina Blackstenius, the seasons don't align with our seasons. They finish over Christmas, so we could have waited a few months and tried to pluck her there. But no, we went in early, and I do wonder if maybe the Champions League exit has sort of, and maybe the manner it did accelerate maybe that deal, to think, right, okay, we absolutely must be big in the league. And we've been saying for years we need cover for Leah Volti. She's such a crucial position in the heart of our midfield, and we tried that with Marlon Gut, and sadly that didn't go so good. Obviously she retired. I think she retired. Well, she left Arsenal, had an ACL, left Arsenal, and I think she maybe even dropped out of the game altogether. And as good as Leah Volti is, when she's off form or not fully at it, then we are in major trouble. We saw in the Champions League qualifier, made a mistake, and just for that one mistake, we conceded a goal, and it was a critical goal, as it turned out. So we needed an alternative if Volti's not on form, and we needed someone to rotate in case, heaven forbid, something happens, shall we say, and leave it at that. And we've got probably one of the best young players in that position, I would say, in Cooney Cross. And I think she's got a bit of versatility, because I think she can also play in the 8 as well as a 6. But I can see her mainly playing as a 6 and playing as a rotational option to Volti or Kim Little. So I'm very excited. It did take a long time to get through. I would have preferred it if they'd announced it a bit earlier, because I really wanted to go to sleep, and I was really hanging on. But by 11 o'clock, and they said, oh no, there is an extra hour for Arsenal to get this done. I was like, sod it, I'll find out in the morning. But yeah, I was told I was pretty confident that it was not, it wasn't a done deal, but it was that the process would be followed and it would be done within the time limit. And yeah, it's a coup. This has to go down as one of Arsenal's strongest transfer windows. I would say, compared to last summer when I think we only signed 3 players, and all 3 of them hardly played. This time around, we've been a lot more proactive. We've been a lot more, I'd say, ruthless, and we have gone big on a lot of players. I think of Russo, I think of Lacasse, think of obviously this one now with Acuna Cross. We've shown real intent, and it'd be interesting to see firstly, who plays against Liverpool, and secondly, how Jonas is going to rotate those players. I could see games when we have to say Kim Little and Liam Velty on the bench, and that should not be something we should be afraid of. That's just something we should embrace, because we've got players we can play in those positions and hopefully not lose pace. Keep the midfielder strong. So that's what I'm excited about. And intrigued about, and obviously Lottie, you've already got your shirt, so looking forward to seeing it as well. Absolutely buzzing.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing. I was just as you were talking about rotation, all that. Boys, we've got an Australian spine across the field.
I know.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, Australian defence, Australian attack, Australian mid. If only Lydia Williams had stayed with us, we could have had a straight through them. Sadly, she's moved on.
She didn't. But she didn't get to start ahead of Mackenzie Arnold, but she wanted to be in that team, and she deserved to be in that team. So I understood why she left. She wasn't going to get the game time.
No, she wasn't. No,
let's be honest.
No.
So I just want to get your thoughts with this being the first deadline day for some fans and a few fans, that this might be the most important window for a lot of reasons. It's gotten a lot of publicity. Some good, some bad, some shall we say, small things creeping in from the men's game. Like I've seen, my cousin's a gardener at the training ground of XYZ, and he said that so and so's come to the club, and
there's a lot of the ITKs, the rise of the ITKs, which has obviously been quite big in the men's game, and there's been some memorable attempts to bluff intelligence. Which has made it all the more delicious when it's backfired. Certain people trying to claim, Arsenal are going to sign Benzema or in Villa. Just classics.
Yeah, no, I just want to touch on that from anybody who says they know people inside Arsenal that have leaked information. I have a few friends who do work for Arsenal, like over in the Armoury, on the tours, and if I'm honest with you, if they leak any information that they are told, it is a sackable offence. It is in their contracts. They're not allowed to do on podcasts, nothing.
Yeah.
And if they get caught, they're stuffed. So some of this is complete and total waffle. And it's just to keep people talking. And the thing is, some of these in the nose, they know what Woso Twitter's like. I mean, look at the Kim Little thing last season. It was a joke. I got my head bit off at the time because it irritated someone. Okay, season before. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I know.
I got my head bit off at the time. I was like, okay, didn't know that. I saw it and I turned off because I was like, what the hell? But yeah, I think the funny part now is they're thinking, we'll sell Marriott to the Arsenal and we'll take Leah Williamson.
I know.
Leah Williamson is a one-club player. It's not happening.
I mean, there is obviously a much discussed about the Earps non-deal, shall we say, and her staying at Man United. That maybe
but as Arsenal fans, we've seen this story before. Imagine having it twice in 2 seasons.
I know that there is that. Well, just to quickly address the Earps situation, according to I think it's Catherine. I think its name's Catherine Batt. I do apologise if I got it wrong, but she did an article in Daily Mail talking about the transfers, and she stated in her article, and I've no reason to believe that she would lie or maybe be misinformed, but she was quite clear that Earps wanted to leave, wanted to go to Arsenal, follow Russo, and Man United put their foot down and said no, and said she couldn't leave. That's what she's said in her article. We can take that at face value. Obviously, Man United don't want to leave because she's such a crucial keeper. However, they have now just signed a new keeper.
The Olympic
Fallon
Toulis-Joyce.
Fallon Toulis-Joyce. Sorry, I was trying to read my own writing. Fallon Toulis-Joyce have South signed. So for me, that looks like an element of succession happening there. I can see her maybe becoming the number one in a few years, and maybe they are planning for Earps to leave. The problem is if you let Earps and Russo go in the same window to Arsenal, I mean, it'd be delicious for us, but I mean, from their perspective, and let's have our very disgusting, rotting Man United hat on, it would be a disaster, and it would just cause misery.
Will, but it's a case of their manager learning to rotate. They've
And
brought some very, very good players in,
Mm.
but he doesn't know how to rotate, and this is why he's lost so many massive talents. This is why he obviously doesn't know how to negotiate. There's so many players leaving. Yeah, they're getting this massive influx, but why are so many people jumping ship?
Would be
Russo, Earps wanting to go.
Adriana
Leon.
Batty's gone, Bo Reese has gone, Martha Thomas has gone, Forrest Ottier's gone,
Adriana Leon.
Yep, she's gone. Fusto's gone, Sophie Bagley's gone, Lee Murphy's gone, Jade Moore's gone, Tara Bourne's gone, Chloe Williams. So academy players, first teamers, squad players. Just there is. You look, if you go on Wikipedia, you can see that there is. It's like a basic economic spreadsheet. Your outgoings are greater than your ingoings, so you're losing players, which is not ideal when you're going into a Champions League when you need a bigger squad. So interesting how that's going to work. And as you say, he doesn't rotate because you'll just find one good team and just keep playing that one good team because he's too scared to play anything else. So it got them second place, but I don't think it's going to really play well when you've got Champions League. Champions League group stages are a step up from the Conti Cup group stages, so we'll see how that plays out.
I would love to have Maisie's opinion, because at this moment in time, I think she will probably be at this moment in time. She would look at it and go, "It's kind of a good window, but it's also a bad window in some ways."
We'll catch up with her at a later date, and we'll try and find out what her views are on that for sure.
On the topic
of Arsenal,
I told you, and you were saying ITKs. I just want to say it is a bit frustrating with ITKs coming in and professing information. And sometimes I think they do have some genuine information, because from what I've seen, there are rumours. The problem is there are so many transfer rumours that circle about, so many deals that do or do not happen. A lot. I mean, I'm not privy to any big information. You only hear whispers on the grapevine. A lot of stuff you hear doesn't happen. And putting your chips out and saying, "Oh yeah, Arsenal." The worst one is when they say they're going to play. It's like, "Oh, I know Arsenal for a player, but I can't tell who." And they're thinking, "Well, yes, we all know him for players."
The thing is, the only decent in the know I've ever known was the Sports Arsenal Mole, the Mole account that was on there.
Oh yeah, that
was very good.
Yeah,
it was a Sports Mole or something, but he was good, but he wasn't always right.
No, and it's a cheap way to get likes and followers and gain attention. Okay. And for those of us who are doing genuine reporting, it's like, come on, guys, we are trying to do our job here, and leaking this out. Yeah, I can tell for a fact is when these news reports, when these things go viral, so we see on Twitter, there are a lot of stuff that has to happen behind the scenes in terms of communication and planning and getting the deal right. And if stuff is leaked out in the open, it causes a lot of problems, because there's a real element of trust when doing these deals, because they can't be played out in the open. They have to be done behind closed doors. And there's an element of trust involved that all parties are keeping stum. And when it comes out in the open, you go, hang on, what's going on here? So I think some people don't realise the ramifications of leaking information into the cesspool that is Twitter actually does. But it's certainly been a big window. It's probably been the biggest transfer window on record. I think a big World Cup has helped that. I'd say us signing Cooney Cross, I think, is definitely, the World Cup definitely helped with that. It's the perfect advertising window, and we got her from it. So I think transfer window is getting more and more hype, more big name players like Russo leaving. I think that bodes well for the future. I think we've got some more. I think the winter window is going to be interesting now. I think there's going to be a few big movers then, and I think it's only going to get big. As the game gets bigger, these windows are only going to get bigger, and that can only be a good thing.
So just to mention as well is that there have been rumours that we have covered, and obviously they haven't come true. It's the way I see it is that essentially is everyone has a shopping list. You've got your eggs, your milk, sugar. Sometimes you might not, that sugar's out of stock, so right, okay, you go to the next one. Maybe that one's too much, so you go, right, okay, might have to go for a second or third option. That's the way I see it. It's not always going to be you're going to get that number one pick, number two pick, number three pick. You might have to have a list of 4 or 5 other before eventually you get that.
But that's what the transfer window is all about, though. It's the rumour, it's the gossip. I'm one of those people who doesn't pay attention to transfer windows, especially the men's. I'm not interested. Get it away with me. It stresses me out. But the women's one,
I
Because
know.
I'm good friends with Adam, I know what he usually knows what's going on, and so does Matt.
Mm.
And they're usually spot on with their rumours. So one of this, obviously, as I said earlier, Cooney Cross came up and was like, "Please be true, Adam.
Yeah.
Go have a look." So only did. So
No,
I can
mean,
I can
I
rely on
follow a
these
lot
two
of
to
there
get
are a lot
their
of journalists on
statements
Twitter.
right.
There's a lot. What's great now is there's a lot of journalists out on Twitter who accurately report what can be reported. And so if you, providing you follow the right people, Soccer Donna and a lot of journalists like Rich Laverty, they usually have an eye on what's happening. And so if you follow the right people on Twitter, you can generally stay ahead of the curve and get some insight on what's happening. Plenty of deals obviously did not happen. But you're saying about lists, the classic one is the right back position. We didn't get the right back. It's been interesting that Jonas has been very vocal in pretty much. I remember last season, it was like we needed enough. We didn't get everything we wanted in this window. We needed a striker. We want a striker. We need a striker, and we didn't get it. And we've had a really good window, but it does feel like once again we haven't fully given Jonas everything he wanted. But I mean, what he has got is probably the best he could. What we've got very accurately. He wanted a really good striker. We've got a really good striker. We want an alternative mid. We've got a very good alternative mid. We wanted defenders. We've got 2 new defenders coming in who can probably cover roles and maybe cover that right back role as well. That we wanted a midfielder. We got a midfielder. So he has got, I would say, if we're saying he wanted 10 items, he's got 9 out of 10. He's just one item short. It's just the right. If we got the right back, it is close to the perfect window. And I hate it when they got these pundits to go, "Oh, who's won the transfer window?" Because the problem is, if you win the transfer window, it means you're going to finish like 8th or something and miss out in Europe, because that's what normally happens in the Premier League.
You've got to realise that the WSL is now up and coming. You're gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Arsenal have won the transfer. I know who's lost the transfer window, and that's Man City, because they only bought one player. But in terms of,
all day long.
But I think we've done extremely, extremely well, and I think we can.
We're definitely top half the table.
Absolutely,
at this point.
I think Claire Wheatley got a bit of stick last season in terms of the transfers. I think we've got to return fire and say fair play to it. Not just the signings, but the contract extensions. A lot of players sticking around. We're not losing players on free to rival clubs like certain other teams. They are wanting to stay at the Arsenal and go for a few more years, and I think that bodes really well. Really strong window. Of course, that means nothing if we have a rubbish season, but it gives us the best opportunity, and it's now up to the team to capitalise on the opportunity they've got, especially with no Europe, to have one of the best league campaigns we've had since, I would say, 2019, and really go for it, because the players we now have are good enough to do it, and we've got the depth now, and the team is only going to get stronger when the ACLs come back, which is quite exciting. I think really good window. Fair play to Claire, fair play to Edu, really working hard and getting these deals done.
So that's the big question mark for me, actually, as well, Adam. I was going to mention about the right back. When it comes to January, you look around that time, you might have potentially Laura sort of slowly making her way back.
Yes.
Is it worth risking maybe in January to see? Well, hopefully, I'm touching wood here that she doesn't have a setback. Lottie looks like she's going to kill me.
No. Matt, jinxing is my job. Don't take that away from me. It's my job to do the jinxing. You're absolutely right, Matt. The fact is, Laura Veen, it's not like
just
Rafa.
For our audio listeners, I was shaking my head and thinking to myself, no, don't say it. That's Adam's job. Stop.
It's not like Rafa, where she's gone. Sorry, but she's gone. She's replacing. We've got Lamel Moritz, who's a very strong right back and can play that role effectively. And there are centre backs who can play that role, but Veen Reuter is going to come back into the fold. She'll be the last one to come back, because she was obviously the last one to get the ACL. And I think the only way you would have done it is if Jonas had done what he did, like we did with he bought Simone Boyd to cover basically the first 4 months before we got Hafer in. He got McCase in to cover the 4 months before we then got Sabrina in. So the only thing we would have been is it would have been a stopgap signing to cover those months until winter comes around. However, because we're now at the Champions League, our fixtures between now and Christmas are WSL and Conti Cup. There's actually no need to get a really good right back in, because the quality of fixtures has dropped completely. We can go into Conti Cup and we can just play second choice in most of those games, I'd say, even Spurs. And the WSL, we can look to play our main 11 when Maritz will probably play right back. So the necessity of needing to get every position rotated, and we need to make sure we got an alternative right back, has sort of disappeared with our Champions League exit. I think we should just, on a complete tangent, as we mentioned Champions League, we should have a quick shout out. There has been a Champions League draw, and I do want to have a shout out to Paris FC, who I know we almost lost them, but I wish them all the best in the draw, and they got Wolfsburg, and I'm absolutely gutted for them. I'm absolutely gutted that they got Wolfsburg. They deserved a better draw because they should be in the group stage, because I thought they were amazing, and that's a really, really unlucky. And sadly, I think that means that their Champions League venture will end. There was a bit of a confusion. Some Arsenal fans thought that actually if we had got through, we would have put Wolfsburg. No, because we would have been seeded, and they weren't. On the flip side, Man United have drawn PSG, which is a very, 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 very interesting tie. I'm really intrigued to see how that one plays out.
I don't think I'm going to miss that Wolfsburg game, because I want to see how Nendozi does. I loved her at the World Cup.
Yeah. Didn't love her in the penalty shootout.
No, I didn't. But as we all sort of agreed in the last pod, we weren't good enough to go through at that point. I love my team, but that performance wasn't good enough. We haven't had enough time. There's no preseason, and we weren't good enough. So
I really did think of it as like a preseason game in itself. It wasn't really a qualifier if you think about it. So it wasn't, and I think that was one of the problems. And this is the issues we have, isn't it? Is the fixtures build up?
Yeah. We should just have pre-season. There is, I think Arsenal got a pre-season friendly against Chelsea apparently coming up soon. I don't know when it is, but it might be behind closed doors. But there was talk of that happening. Obviously, they've been in the Adidas headquarters. So it was just something I remember came at one of the press conferences. I don't know if it has happened or is due to happen soon. Obviously, we've got the international break coming up in a bit. But I heard that there was going to be a pre-season friendly. So, of course, they picked the hardest one of the lot to go for. So, yeah, thanks. But, yeah. Right back we didn't get. That's the only blemish on the copybook, but I think we're more than compensated by the signings we have actually brought in. We can't say we haven't shown ambition, and we haven't backed Jonas. And it's Jonas's team now, so Jonas has been backed. He's got no complaints, no arguments. He's got a team that's going to get better at the season. It's all on him now. It's his season. This is his moment. He's had 2 years to bed himself in. This is his team. It's his unit. It's his chance. Let's see what the man can do.
Is this going to be then you're expecting a full-on William Wallace versus Scotland versus Scotland
own goal there, man.
Scotland, William Wallace, Scotland, a sort of charge
they can take our race. They can take our ACLs, but they'll never take our freedom. I think
our freedom more like.
If Arsenal are going to do it, it's going to be this season. They're not in Europe. Chelsea are, and Man United might be, depending on what happens against PSG. This is the moment when they can go, right, if we're going to go for the league, because last season we're juggling all 4 competitions, and it caught us up in the second half when we had semi-finals and WSL and half a squad. We don't have that next season in the new year. It'll just be the FA Cup, and if we get that deep into competition, and the WSL, maybe the Conti Cup as well. So this is the season to go for the league. If we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. This is the time to go for it and to really push Chelsea, push Man United, push Man City all the way, and we've got the team to do it.
Lottie, you were going to say something, weren't you? And then you stopped.
Yeah.
You're not. No,
I thought better of what I was thinking. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So I was going to ask you actually, Lottie, if we're going to go on predictions and things like that, do you see a title challenge on the cards this time?
From what I've seen so far, no. But if it improves, it is possible. I'm a bit unsure at the minute. I don't want it to sound negative because the season's not started, but I'm a bit unsure of how this is all going to play out at this stage. But I'm still buzzing for the season. I can't wait to be back at the Emirates with you boys.
Yeah.
Have a few pints in the tolly. But soft drinks, not alcohol, because you two don't drink. But yeah, no, I'm just looking forward. I just want to see my girls again. Like, I love the men's football, but my calling is with the girls.
If we get a season like 21-22 when we push Chelsea all the way and we missed out by a point, or it's something stupid like we were in it to the end, that's fine. I don't want it to be a season where we're like 12 points off the top. it can't finish. We can't end this season.
As long as if it's going to be repeated that season, as long as they fight for every single goal and every single point, I won't be angry with them. I can't do it.
No, we can't be in a situation where we're scraping third place on goal difference. That we can't have that kind of season like we did last season. We're not with a better team than that. So that has to be reflected in the league table. So if they've shown they can do it over the last 2 seasons. Jonas has done more with less. So let's see what he can do this time around. And if you get it all to click, and that's going to be the tricky bit, getting all the new pieces to click, and it might take a few games, but if we can do that, we'll be absolutely fine.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's just a case of getting from 4th gear into 1st at this point.
1st to 4th gear. we're not
you know what I mean.
We're not downshifting here. We're not Man City.
I'm glad you got what I was saying, but just for reference, I don't drive, so
yeah.
If I had to make a prediction for this season, I've said I'd like a trophy.
Wouldn't we all?
If it's going to be, I don't think it will be the Conti Cup. I think if I would like it to be the FA Cup, I don't think we'll win the WSL this season. Just mainly because Chelsea have decided to buy about 16 goalkeepers and they're going to stock them all in goals. So essentially, all they're going to have is 10 goalkeepers and then Sam Kerr up top, and that's how they're going to play this season. Let's just get that right, and then it'll be Sam Kerr scoring hat tricks. Lottie is laughing for our audio listeners.
Oh yeah, because you're sitting there saying Sam Kerr. I want to know how many times she's going to be off. Who's going to be offside more times this season? Stina Plastenius or Sam Kerr? I'm putting my bets on Sam Kerr. Calling it now.
Well, I think you're right, Matt. I think FA Cup is a good stab. I think we could go for it, providing we don't, draw Chelsea early on, like we always seem to do. I think we'll be absolutely fine with that one. League, I think it's got to be 2nd place, bare minimum, and a close 2nd. But I think they could do it. It just depends on those head-to-heads. If we get, because in 21-22, we had really strong head-to-heads against the top order. We got, I want to say 12 points, I think it was, against the teams around us.
The only points that we did drop was against Chelsea in that 0-0 draw.
And Man City, well, the Man City won.
Oh, yes, and the Man City
won. And the Man U won.
How can I forget? I watched that.
Exactly.
So we got. How can you forget that? Was that a Raffaele goal?
No, that was Tobin Heath running down, and she.
Yes.
So we got 12. So we got 12 points from Man U, Man City, and Chelsea, and we were unbeaten against them. That is what we need to aim for in that group. We didn't win the league against Chelsea. Should have done it at the Emirates, but we didn't beat Chelsea in the league at all last season. It's that we need to fix. We've never had a league double against Man United, so I want a league double against Man United. We've never managed that for.
The main goal scorer is all ours, so we should fear nobody.
No, I'm pretty sure we beat Man United away and home. No. It was a draw, wasn't it? It was a 1-1 draw.
Yep, Stina running through from the Miedemar path. That's the thing. We've never done it. And last season obviously was a bit of a disaster up front. So there are just lots of things we need to try and correct. I want to get a league. We haven't had a league double against Chelsea in donkey's years. I think probably dating back to about 2013-14. So that needs fixing. Winning at the Academy Stadium, we've not done that since Jordan Nobb did a top bin in 2017 in the Spring Series. That needs fixing. Winning league titles in 2019, that needs fixing. Just there's so many hurdles we need to overcome in the Super League that we just simply haven't done yet. So those are the omens, the hoodoos I want to see fixed. And if we get Conti Cup, get that. I love the Conti Cup final. It was one of the highlights of last year. So I would be more than happy to win it again. I wouldn't, cast it aside so easily. That's the way I see it. If we get the WSL, I think that fully. This is Jonas's last season on his contract. So I think if he wants a new contract, I think he's got to go out there and win the WSL.
Yeah, I can agree with Adam more. But if we're saying 2nd as a minimum WSL, why can't we have the double?
Well, that would be even better because we've done Conti Cup, FA Cup doubles, I think, and things like that. But league and FA Cup doubles, it's got to be. I'm thinking it must be 2013. We didn't win the FA Cup in 2019, so it's got to be 2012 or 2013. Last time we did the league and FA Cup double, and that's mad.
Yeah.
2011,
as a
2011,
family-
2012, sorry. 11, 12. It took only 11, 2012 will be when we did like the
Yeah.
FA Cup doubles, which is
Adam,
just
that was 10 years
just
before I knew women's football existed.
Yep,
Like,
yep.
it's mental.
Adam,
Mm.
just correct me as well. I'm pretty sure Arsenal have gone on to win either the league or the FA Cup the next season after winning the Conti Cup.
Well, so 2019 we won, 2018-19 we won the league, and the 2017-18 we won the Conti Cup. That was under Joe Montemurro. We beat Man City in the final, and then we kind of romped it. This was the season we beat Chelsea 5-0 at Kings Meadow. But the previous two, that was sort of coming off when we were just like the best team in England. So the 2011, the first two seasons of the WSL, we won the league. And that's when we just won all the trophies all the time. So that's not really sort of a good metric. And then after that, we've only won the WSL once more. So yes, last time we won the Conti Cup, we won the WSL. We won the Conti Cup. So obviously, the omens are clear. We're going to win the W. It doesn't work like that, but fingers crossed.
Right. Okay. So that has been our summer transfer window, the last of the summer transfer window transfer zone, shall we say. It's been great to have been able to talk to you, all of you who've been listening and watching. And it's been great to go through every piece of information and just share this as much as far as possible. I'm sure it's come a lot of useful for some of you. Hopefully, let us know in the comments. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You can find myself at MattLR28. Adam, where can people find you or not find you?
If you don't want to find me on Twitter, I suggest you avoid following the @AdamSalter4. So yes, if you want to avoid my tweets, comments, talking about other clubs, talking about Arsenal, videos, clips, memes, jokes, if you don't want any of that nonsense, I recommend you do not follow @AdamSalter4. I cannot stress that enough.
And no, as for me, sorry, I've just as for me, you can find me at Lottie AWFC, or you can follow us all at VAW Pod on Twitter.
And that has been the last of the summer transfer zone window. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, see you again soon. Goodbye.